Welcome back to Hidden Power. This is a Pokemon podcast. The Indigo disc has been out for a few days now. Today's episode is going to be a comprehensive breakdown, analysis, and discussion of the Indigo disc DLC, as well as a retrospective on Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. My name is DustyGogoat. Today, I'm joined by SoulSilverArt.
What's up?
And our long-awaited guest and friend, Kayla's Capsule.
Hello.
Welcome, Kayla. Welcome. It's honestly been a long time coming. We were just saying off camera how we've actually wanted to work with you since the inception of the show. Somehow it didn't happen. We've been talking all year, but we didn't get to actually get you on the show. Can you tell the audience and listeners who aren't familiar with you who you are and what you do on YouTube in the Pokemon space?
Yeah, so I'm a Pokemon theorist. I focus mostly on evidence-based Pokemon theories, so looking at what's actually in the games and then using that to prove different things about the lore. I also play a little bit of competitive, so I do that as well.
Here on Hidden Power, we get really wild and wacky when it comes to what possibilities we could see, but you really are, when you say you're fact-based and evidence-based theory crafting, you truly mean that, right? Just recently,
yes,
weeks before the Indigo disc came out, you actually proved a theory, or discovered, or what's the terminology there? You created a theory that was proven in the DLC.
The Artisan Maze is a map of Area Zero.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And that predicted the tree that
Yes.
we saw in the trailer, and then, yeah.
You're doing great stuff. Let's just jump right into it today. I'd love to hear what your experience has been like with the DLC. I think overall for the duration of this episode, I'd love to discuss a lot of pros and cons with Scarlet and Violet, but let's start with the DLC.
Yeah, I think one of the things about me that makes it a little unique is that one of the things I look for is lore consistency. I feel like the lore consistency is on point. I really like how they've connected all of the different things from previous games into this game and never had a moment where something was off in terms of oh, well, this contradicts what we heard in Generation 3, or this contradicts what we learned in Generation 2. In fact, I feel like the DLC even added to the lore in a lot of ways that are really interesting. So I'm very excited to explore that from a lore perspective. I also, as a competitive person, really like how the DLC teaches people how to play competitive.
Yeah.
We don't get a lot of double battles in Pokemon games. So the fact that the DLC is all double battles and we have competitive teams with items that we don't usually see a lot of item use. So being oh, that's a life orb. Oh, that's a focus sash. I'm my competitive instinct is just yes, Here we go.
I've kind of dropped off the competitive scene over the last decade, but just playing this DLC and going through the Elite Four trainers and doing these double battles, I found myself actually I switched on this autopilot of oh, okay, well, if I have two Pokemon out, I might as well have something that that kind of works together in tandem, right? If this Pokemon can learn Rain Dance, that's going to help out this other Pokemon I have that already knows Thunder, right? Just little things like that are kind of basic when it comes to double battles, but a lot of that just kind of switched on in my mind, and it did get me a little bit excited to kind of create some teams. Lumi is sick, but I was texting him this morning to try to optimize my Grovyle, or Sceptile. I shouldn't be bothering him, but I am.
Aw,
Okay,
poor
he's probably
Louie.
bored anyway.
Yeah, I
so,
think he is bored, yeah.
Yeah. I love the double battles. That is
Yeah.
one of my biggest pros of the whole thing. It's so refreshing.
It really
is.
is.
You didn't realize it until now, basically.
And they've been around since Generation 3. They've been around forever. Obviously, that's the competitive format, but they're not in the game.
It just really makes you think about what you have to do instead of just pushing, oh, this is strong against this type, so
fire
I'll just
beats
do that,
grass.
and it's dead.
Yeah.
Instead it's oh, I got this other one to deal with, and which one is it going to attack, and your whole team vibe together. I love specifically the 6-on-6 kind of thing, because in VGC it's 4-on-4, I think.
It is.
Yeah, so that always bugged me. I like bringing my whole my team of 6. So if it's in the game, I love it like that. Anyway.
Yeah. It's honestly so much fun. I also really appreciate how I don't know how many badges you guys have actually achieved. Soul, you've only done one of the.
Yeah, so I mean, you guys have both finished it, right? Most of at least the plot.
Yeah.
I only did the one. I only have done one Elite Four member.
Okay.
So.
Well, I think it's been really nice. Not only are these Elite Four battles, well, not only are they challenging, they're also double battles, but they're also not restricted. The trainers aren't restricted to a specific type, which which is I think really nice. That's honest. I mean, I don't know if it's like not talked about, but that has been something that I've always enjoyed. Like the thought of like Roxanne also having, or you like, I always felt like, oh, in Johto in her gym, she should also use an Ampharos because thematically, Ampharos is like her Pokemon, right? Like, and we saw that in Generation. We've definitely seen, people use Pokemon that aren't corresponding to their type, but it was really great to see more of that in this.
Yeah, let's see it more.
I want to see it more.
Epic.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
I think theme teams makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. What Soul, is there anything else that's like that you're like loving as like your first impression of the game so far?
Yeah, it is like this is a
we've
first
had the game for a
impressions
couple days
video,
now.
So yeah. I hadn't played it up until like really played it until yesterday. Like fully got into it, did like the beginning. So many people on the internet are like kind of disappointed with the story I'm hearing. That's what I'm hearing, but I think that that's just based in like their own expectations of what was going on. And this, like the first, like, I don't know, not 10 minutes, but the first bit of the story, I was like, so just like, I'm in this. This is great. I'm actually really loving the narrative here. So that was really good. I love Carmine so much.
Yeah.
And new Kieran is pretty kind of cool too.
He is pretty cool.
He's still punk, but he's
he actually,
cool. But
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
He cries. Like, there's so
yeah.
much. I feel like the characters, again, without spoiling anything, I feel like the characters, what is it like? They're just like created in such a way where they're really emotive. The whole time also, I'm thinking to myself, I feel like this was built to have voice acting, and it doesn't have voice acting, and I really feel like they can't push this any further without voice acting. Like, it just makes sense that the Gen 10 game is going to have voice acting. I don't know. To me, it's as emotional and as gripping as it could be without voice acting. It's really nice. Like, I really enjoyed the story a lot.
I will say,
I think
though,
especially...
Go for it.
I think especially for the main cutscenes of the story, when it actually looks cinematic, the fact that there's no voice acting feels like you've set one of the settings wrong. Because it feels like a movie, but normally in a movie, the characters would be talking.
Yeah. It's so simple.
Well, but I don't know. For me, it's still like so engaging.
It is.
Was
No,
so
it is engaging.
To me,
it is.
That it's like almost the peak to me of like Pokemon
without voice acting.
Storytelling. Yeah, without voice
it
acting.
really is Soul. I mean, you'll get to it once you beat the academy and everything, but it really is super
They're really
emotional.
good characters that they made this time around.
Oh, there's a moment right at the end
engaging.
where like there's actually a lot of moments right at the end where you're like that's not going to happen. Then you see it happen, you go, no, well, it still won't happen. And it does happen or it doesn't happen, and there's a lot of, I don't know, it's really great. I like it a lot. I can't wait till you finish it so we can actually go into depth with the ending of it all. But
I cried, but I always cry, so
it was really
I
cool.
remember like Scarlet and Violet at the end of that, everyone was like like people leaking it and whatever, like we cried and all this, and like, can it really be that way?
And then you get to it and you cry.
I didn't cry, but it kind of was.
Oh, I cried so many times in the base game.
Yeah, it's good. It was really good.
It was really nice.
If you're talking about all of Scarlet and Violet, like, it's probably, they really took some big steps in them telling stories, like storytelling. It's just,
I love the characters too. Like the Elite Four
elevated.
members are so good.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
All of them are so good. I thought they looked kind of not boring, but like I don't usually get excited for characters, but I really liked this new batch.
I think they're really trying to push the characters more.
And their characters have always been good, I feel like.
I think they've I agree with Soul, they've been pushing the characters because if you see, like, even Pokemon Masters is a game that focuses more almost on the characters than on the Pokemon.
Yeah.
So we see, and this whole game has been very character focused. Like, it's been a very character driven story.
Yeah.
So I see them definitely going in that direction.
it doesn't excite me that much. It excites me for the narrative. Like, as long as the Pokemon are really involved, I see it as like they are probably thinking like, how do we keep doing Pokemon without just like churning out tons of Pokemon? And like, so now we'll turn to like the characters to make them more interesting, make more character designs.
Yeah.
And all that.
And
I think that's a thing.
I've said it before as well, but like the fact that there's so many Pokemon now omitted due to the national decks, like when they do come back, they look so good. And I gotta say, Gen 9, for all of its faults, one of the best things that they've done is actually remodel these Pokemon.
100%.
I've been playing with my Blaziken, and it's the coolest thing in the whole world. I want to go back to our Gen 3 tier list and rank it back up to S tier. I don't even know where I put it, but it looks like how it looked in the anime, right? It's confident, it's leaning back. Sceptile looks cool. Marshtomp looks cool. All of these Pokemon that I brought back look so cool. I'm just loving all of the new
Some of them are
character
still a
designs.
little iffy, but like it's very rare.
Blastoise is weird.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
Yeah,
They're
Blastoise's
struggling.
face. There's
They are
something just
struggling.
off with his face.
What did you think it was, Soul? I think you tweeted about that at one point.
About what?
You were beefing with Hybrid about Blastoise.
I don't know about beef, and I don't know. I said his face looks too much like a hippo now.
Yeah, it does.
Which
That's
is
what
like
it
Yeah,
was.
it's like puffy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like as streamlined.
Yeah.
When you look at like the original like Sugimori Blastoise, it doesn't look like a hippo.
No.
It looks like a kaiju turtle kind of thing. So
Yeah.
I don't know if they changed it a little bit, but Blastoise has been
they
through
definitely
a lot.
changed
Let me
it.
tell you, like
No, they
the whole
definitely
Pokken-
changed it. Yeah.
Pokken tournament Blastoise. Have you seen that thing? That's kind of
He's got long arms.
yeah, it's weird.
They're definitely enhancing, or they're changing Blastoise. I don't really know if it's like for the better or not.
I feel like it looks like he ate a bee's nest and just got stung, and his like mouth just like swolled up.
He's like an Animal Crossing villager when you get like stung.
Yeah, exactly.
I kind of like that the idea of mixing like two animals together to create a monster. I like
Yeah.
that, but Blastoise has kind of already been established. So.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, actually, we can say on Blastoise for a little while, but like they did a lot of improvements with it moving around in the water. How it's like its feet go back up into its shell, and then it's able to like propel itself with like a hydro pump from those like those footholes.
Yeah, I guess
call it.
I don't know how it does it. Maybe it's just like kicking.
Yeah.
It's kicking really hard.
No, I feel like it's like it's like shooting water out of it, right? The same way it would do it from its cannon.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's really cool. Anyways, this is a total tangent.
Yes.
Kayla, I know you haven't seen all of the new Paradox yet, but what are your opinions on the new Pokemon that you have seen?
I like them. I
You
think
got
they're pretty
Hydrapple.
cool. Yeah, Hydrapple was somewhat of a. I mean, I knew there was gonna be a Hydrapple in it because of Eviolite, but I didn't expect it to look quite like that.
Sure.
I don't know. With the heads, the way the heads worked was different from what I thought, because I was thinking it'd be more like a Hydra, where different heads come out at different times, but it was more like there's one primary head and then the
Yeah.
rest kind of come out. So I don't know. I'm still like debating about how I think about it.
I kind of am too.
That's fair. I
Yeah.
definitely agree. I think that it should. I don't know if this is what you're saying, but I think that the head should be out like
All
at
the
least
time.
all the time in battle. At least in battle all the time, instead of just like a move animation. You know, like if it's gonna be a Hydra, let it be a Hydra. But I don't know. I still love it.
Or
I
have
still-
the animations be like heads pop out randomly.
Sure.
Like one will just peek out like, hey, how's it going? And then
Yeah.
go back in.
I mean, maybe the thing is that's just like animation wise, and they could in the future end up making that happen, like in a
Sure.
different game, in a new game, like the other heads could be out the whole time. You know,
Yeah.
the design is still there, so that's
Yeah.
that's a good.
Yeah, it is solid.
That's something I'm also noticing. Like I really like how like I like seeing Gen 8 Pokemon in Gen 9 now. Because I'm like,
Yeah.
we only saw those in one iteration. This is the new iteration of them. So that is true. Like in only like a year, we could see Hydrapple with like a little tweaked design in some way.
Definitely.
I think I wish Hydrapple was a little bit more like superior, where it would slither around rather than just kind of hop on that apple glob, right?
Yeah.
Like it's supposed to be goofy, and I do like it a lot. I think I've cooled down from earlier in the week when I like saw these Pokemon for the first time. Gouging Fire. Oh yeah, I'm spoiling stuff for Kayla.
It's
She
okay.
knows. She knows the
I'm
names.
guessing it's
I think.
Entei.
Yeah. We could make something up. That's actually a Paradox Ho-Oh.
Oh, yeah,
We
that
could.
makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah, yeah. Future
No,
Paradox
that's
Rayquaza
too
is
cruel,
insane,
bro.
dude.
That's too cruel. Like I don't even want to think about that because I want it so badly.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, But
man.
yeah, the Paradox are definitely growing on me a little bit. I don't mind the future ones. I like I still love. I captured all of the past Paradox. What do you think about Terrapagos? Trying.
So cute.
It is.
Yeah, I don't know if you-
it is cuter. Yeah, at the end of the game, I saw it in game.
so
I actually like it. It's actually
adorable.
at one point I was watching the cutscene and I go, "That's cute." Like I just was by myself. I was like, "Oh, this is." I've been hating on it all year, but it was kind of cute.
I've been seeing it in the anime, and it's adorable in the anime. So seeing it in the game when it's more 3D, I was just like, oh my gosh, it's my baby, and I must protect it.
I don't know if you guys saw my tweet today, and I mean you've seen it in game, but I haven't. But the terrestrial form is tiny.
Yeah.
It's just as small.
It's just as small.
As,
It's like it just sticks its arms out and then its shell grows a little bit.
yeah, I thought it was gonna be massive, and I love and hate it at the same time. Like I want it to be big, so it's
Yeah.
epic, but at the same time, it's perfect.
The
Like, small.
thing that's stressing me out is that when I thought about using it for like the Let's Go feature to just like battle in the overworld, but when you send it out, or actually just its default phase is the baby one, and then like as it goes to attack, it instantly transforms and then attacks and then deforms, and then until there's another one, and then it reforms. And I'm just like, just stay in the terrestrial form, or the terrestrial form is what it's
Yeah,
called.
yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah, but it's good. It's a good design.
I mean, we've all seen the stellar form, right?
I don't even want to talk about it, but maybe Kayla can bring
Okay.
some. I'm just messing around.
Yeah,
Did you like it?
I
Did you
think-
like the final design?
seeing it in game, there is kind of a surprise, and I don't know if it's a spoiler or not, so I don't know if I should say it. But there's kind of a surprise on top of it,
Yeah.
if
Do you
that
know
makes
what that is,
sense.
Sol?
Yeah. It's
Does
just a-
everybody know what that is?
I know what it
The
is.
little like
It's part of the design.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Honestly, it's
yeah.
even more of like it's the 19th Terra type design, the stellar type.
Yeah.
So it is like if you run into a stellar type Pokemon in the
It's right
wild, you'll
there.
see
Yeah.
a little turtle.
Okay, yeah. So that there's a little turtle on top, and that was a surprise for me. I don't
Yeah.
know, like lore wise, I immediately started asking a million questions. So
I mean, but that was a popular theory, at least last year, where the Terra Crystal, the gem on every terrestrial Pokemon, had the eyes, and I think that was a popular theory to think that is going to be some sort of Pokemon that's controlling all of the terrestrial Pokemon. Do you remember that at all, Kayla?
yeah, I remember that theory. It was kind of on my bingo board
Okay.
as the Terra orbs, each containing a Terapagos, but I
Oh,
don't
okay.
think, I don't know, I don't think that was proven though.
I mean, that's what it is, right?
Mm,
Is that not what it is?
exactly.
Is this spoiler territory?
Literally, it is a little spoilery, but the it's literally just the crown, like of, it's the crown of the 19th Terra type of the stellar type.
But that's
That part
Terapagos.
expect-
Is there one Terapagos?
I think
I don't-
so. As far as we know, right?
I would think, but like
I don't know. I haven't been there yet.
that doesn't
so
make any sense. I would think there's multiples. Oh, I
know
guess.
as much as I knew before.
Oh, I guess the stellar type is just, it looks like Terapagos, the same way the
Like a
ghost
turtle
type
crown.
looks like the ghost.
the ghost.
Okay, I see.
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
see. All right, so it's really just a projection. It's not actually Terapagos. That makes
Yeah,
me like it
if
a
you
little
look
bit
at
more.
it, it's like crystally looking.
Yeah.
It's like not it itself.
I think I just don't. Yeah.
I would have liked it if Terapagos actually changed, like the Pokemon
Actually
Terapagos.
changed form.
If it actually just changed, just this much, like you know, like the drawing in Heath's book, like everyone was like, it's gonna be that, and
Yeah.
it kind of was that, but the drawing in Heath's book is actually more different than
Yeah, it is.
than that.
This
the
goes
tur-
back to our conversation.
Terapagos doesn't change at all.
I totally agree with you, man. This goes back
Just
to
the
our
eyes.
conversation. Yeah, it is.
At least just the eyes.
We were talking about how when we were talking about Mega Pokemon, it's like, why do people like Mega Pokemon? And to me, I think it's because they look like standalone Pokemon, where when you look at terrestrial form Pokemon or Gigantamax Pokemon, right, they look like projections or alterations just like ornaments that are on existing Pokemon. So they don't feel like their own creature that you could eat lunch with Brock and Misty and the gang, right? Like it doesn't feel like that. It feels like this ultra Goliath of a creature. And Terapagos, the stellar form, feels like the worst offender of that, where it's literally just a bunch of layers of the same thing, right? I think at least what I wanted, and again, this is not a criticism of the game, it's really just like what did I expect? What do I prefer? I prefer something that looks like a standalone Pokemon. I think that's why Soul enjoys Ultra Necrozma so much, because it literally becomes, even though it's a projection of light, it's the dragon is the light, right? It looks like a new thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyways,
I agree. I mean,
just went off a little bit.
It's on the same vibe as like Gigantamax Eevee or Gigantamax Snorlax kind of thing, where they're just like
they're just big.
Not really anything.
Which doesn't make it like a bad design. It's just like, again,
it does because of its importance. Like I feel like it should be more because it's so important to everything. But
I love Gigantamax Snorlax.
Yeah,
I think
I love it. Because usually Snorlax is blocking a cave, and Gigantamax Snorlax is a literal hill.
Yeah,
like you could accidentally walk over it thinking it's a hill.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I like that concept, but Eevee is just more fluffy.
Yeah. Like no,
so
I don't
so
think
great.
those are bad designs for Gigantamax. Like that makes sense to me. Like it's a progression of the theming. So like what you just described, I think that makes sense. I think it's just like, I don't know. I think I just at the end of the day will want something that like feels like it could just like even outside of battle stay as a Pokemon, right? And I feel like actually. Do you? I was talking to Toby about this. I don't even know if it's confirmed, but I've always understood Gigantamax to be projections of a Pokemon. But is that true, or are they actually just Pokemon that can or forms that can exist outside of that?
Well,
do you know?
in the game, it says that they're not actually expanding their size.
Okay.
It's like a visual thing.
Yeah. So exactly, that's what Terapagos is. It's stellar form. Or maybe it's not.
So they're not actually like getting, they're not like just growing. It's like, it's kind of like how when Pokemon shrink into Pokeballs, they're not like really shrinking in the same way. It's like they're all projecting. Basically, Pokemon are largely projections of energy, and that energy can be expanded to be large or shrunken down.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. So anyways, but like so. That makes sense, but it's, I guess, I don't know. That's not exactly what I wanted. Should we talk about the stellar form a little bit? Soul, is that a spoiler for you?
You mean just
I'm sorry, the stellar type.
Stellar type?
Yeah.
No, it's not a spoiler.
I'm still trying to understand what it actually does competitively.
I don't really understand how it works. It's like gives one of your moves stab, I think. Like one type.
No, it gives the first move that you use of a specific type. So, like, for example, if you have a Pokemon that has a fire move, a water move, an electric move, the first time you use each of those moves, it gives them stab. But then if you go to use the fire move a second time, it doesn't have stab for that move. So it gives you more type diversity for stab.
Oh, cool.
But it doesn't make it so that you can spam Fire Blast, basically.
Sure. Right.
It
makes sense.
Yeah, do we think the stellar type will ever actually become a standalone type? I feel like canonically it can't, right?
I don't think so because it doesn't really function like a type. So,
yeah.
I mean, unless they changed it, the
benefit of the type is just a battle buff. It's like a battle mechanic.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. I wonder if we're ever gonna get another type, and I mean, I feel like we're too close to stellar for them to be like introducing the 19th real type.
I wouldn't say like that we're too close to it. Even the only thing
that would get confusing if they if in the official marketing they said the 19th Terra type and now they're like the 19th type. Like that, I think that is confusing, right?
Yeah, I think that it doesn't matter how close it is. This could honestly be like a testing of like being like got a new type. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
I don't think they're going to add another type.
I don't think they will. Yeah.
Yeah. The reason types have been added in the past was largely for competitive balance. They're already starting to learn how to balance out the ice type, which is one of the weaker types. I don't see a reason why they would add another type. I think they're going to do things like Chen Pao instead. So that's historically been why. So I can't imagine they're just going to be like, you know, it would be fun, totally messing up the balance that we've been working on since we last added fairy.
I think it's more than that, though. Don't you think it's more than that? I mean, I think the battle element is definitely part of it because, right, Psychic ran rampant, so they introduced 2 new types, one that's super effective against it, one that it resists it, right? And then they also introduced Fairy to counteract Dark and Dragon and Fighting because those were out of control. That all makes sense. But I feel like...
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like...
I don't know.
That's not the only reason they introduced it. I feel like there was also a lot of Pokemon. If you look back to Gen 5, there's so many Pokemon that could have been classified as Fairy. And they were retyped, right? Like it makes more sense now to me.
I mean, I agree with Kayla, but just for the sake of like argument, I would say like they did all this crazy type stuff now. Like they might just do it just for the heck of it. Like they're just kind of wild like that. But I don't think it's gonna happen anyway. So you never know.
Are there any other properties of the stellar type that could manifest as an actual type? Like what if stellar type is a new type in Gen 10? Let's just hypothetically, what I guess what do we know about it that could actually be classified as a, I don't know, like is it the glass type? I
would say
cosmic?
the closest thing would probably be cosmic. Yeah, it's stars, so you know it's some kind of magical properties because of the power of terrestrial or whatever. You know,
I don't think it makes any changes defensively. So it could never be, it would have to be typed with another type. So it'd have to be like fire stellar or, you know, water stellar or something like that. Like you couldn't have it stand on its own, kind of like how flying used to be.
Sure.
But not for,
That's
like
true.
Flying was that way just for not because of mechanical reasons.
That's true because normal type pretty much does nothing to any other type except it's weak and immune to a couple things. I guess the way it stands, Terra really isn't anything. Or Stellar, rather, right?
It would have to be retconned. There's no way that it would just be a type on its own like that. Unless, like Kayla said, like they just attach it to another type every single time.
Well, how about this? When we get... Actually, this is actually making me feel a little bit better. Once we get into the next game, right, in the 2024 game, or maybe it's the Gen 10, right? Theoretically... terrestrialization is not going to exist, which would mean the terraformed Terrapagos just does not exist. So honestly, I don't need to get that because it doesn't even exist.
I was gonna go there actually because it's just that form is basically exactly like Ultra Necrozma where you're not going to see it again until we get terrestrial again, like in the next whatever it is. If there's no terrestrial, then there's no stellar.
But that would also make Terrapagos like super underwhelming and useless. Maybe not useless.
I don't know.
And
it's normal type.
Ogerpon too.
Exactly.
Ogerpon's gonna get hit hard.
No, because I think Ogerpon will still. Well, I don't know about competitively, but I'm saying like if those items still exist.
That's what we're talking about.
No, but if those items still exist, it can still transform into its different forms, right? It will still get like the type swap.
Yeah.
But Terrapagos is tied.
But...
like its identity is the stellar type, right?
Its Terra type is. It's the terrestrial form will still exist. The like big turtle.
Yeah.
You know? That will still be.
But
around.
it'll just be normal. That's so boring.
It is. That is a terrible type for it. What are you gonna do?
Oh man.
I wonder though, this is my like big brain, like this would be very fun because we're going into Gen 10. If we could have all the mechanics in one generation, you'd think it would be Gen 10, right?
I like that. I do like that idea a lot.
I love the idea. I hope so.
Toby had mentioned like a new, basically like they retcon all of the battle gimmicks into basically one identifier or one mechanic, right? And
they definitely implied that the terrestrial phenomenon has to do with infinity energy.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Which I can't explain really without going into spoilers. But yeah. So if it is all infinity energy, I see no reason why we couldn't have a way to do that.
Sure.
Yeah. No, I think it's possible. It's just like the only thing I think about is like how much it would take for them to actually develop it or make it possibility. you know, that's it. That's the only reason. But I think that they should do it.
I really wonder if we'll ever get like a battle simulator game, right? Because you would think that'd be where they would do it, but maybe Gen 10 is the. I always want to say like, oh, they should just keep making I don't know. It makes sense to have a battle simulator and separate it from the mainline game so they can just make whatever fun game they want. Because I think Scarlet and Violet was a lot of fun and there was a lot of cool things. But then also by doing that, you're just like, you're splitting the Pokemon audience who plays video games, right? It's like they would want to keep the battle simulator part of the new game so people keep buying the new game. So that's really never going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think they'll do it, but I want it to happen.
They could do something where certain Pokemon aren't available in the battle simulator, and you can only get them if you transfer them over.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah, that's true. Like you need to buy the new game in order to do it. That's true. They could do that. If you're enjoying this episode, please consider supporting Hidden Power on Patreon or YouTube channel members. Right now we have 4 tiers and the lowest membership starts at just $5 a month. Supporters get access to our secret Discord server and help control the direction of the podcast. Supporters also get access to our archive of bonus episodes.
Okay, so our Discord honestly is popping. We have other creators in there too, which is kind of fun. It ain't just the 3 of us. We're discussing leaks when they drop. We talk about news. We'll be talking about how SoulSilverArt has, just garbage takes.
It's so much
a
fun.
place for us to connect.
I'm in there every day. Also, we have revamped our merch store. So proud of every product that is in this store now. We have stickers, t-shirts, mugs, ball caps, right? The dad caps. These ball caps are embroidered. Look at this. It's literally an embroidered.
So clean.
You cannot get anything more high quality than that.
I just got news. Do y'all hear that? Bulbasaur says that he even has his own merch.
I'll talk for him. It's beautiful. Very cool designs. You guys should
Very
check it out.
Japanese style.
Even the front of the shirt has a unique logo.
I'm getting one for sure.
If you're invested in this show, invest in the show. Thank you so much for watching, and now back to the video. Let's move on over to our speed round questions. This is what we ask all of our new guests. We'd love to know what you think your hidden power type would be. Your type combo, and then your hidden power type. You can think of this as like your astrology sign.
Yeah,
This is gonna be very telling.
I've had this discussion a lot with people, actually.
Good.
But I think I would be water because I'm calm.
Okay.
But I think I would also be electric because sometimes I get very hyper and excited, like especially when there's like a cute Pokemon mentioned. Like you saw me when we mentioned Terapagos, that's my electric type coming out.
Yeah.
Then hidden power type, I think probably psychic.
Ooh.
Because, when I tune into my brain and I just go all out, I feel like I'm a psychic type.
That's really good.
Big thing.
That's really good.
Yeah.
I wonder if hidden power is going to return in the next generation, right?
Oh.
If
They kind of got rid of it for this. They kind of got rid of it for this, it seems.
But like, is Terastal going to stay?
No.
Then hidden power would come back.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see. Those are good types, though. I like that a lot.
Very good, yeah. So you got Chinchou,
Yeah,
Lantern.
that's instantly what I thought of, actually.
Me too, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the only electric water type? It's one of the best. It's so good.
Yeah, I think it is, right? I can't think of any other ones.
I can't think of any other ones either.
Those like classic, I don't know why, but those classic like elemental type combos always make me think of like that Kirby game where you can combine the electric and the water, or the electric and ice, and you become like an electric sword fighter or whatever.
That is a classic game.
So Kayla, what's your dream team? Top 6 Pokemon of all time.
Oh, I'm actually running with my dream team.
Are you really?
In Pokemon SV. Yeah, so I have like Pokemon that I've collected over time that are kind of like my canonical team, and I've even made like artwork of me with them. But I've got Cinnamon, Peaches, and Sage, of course. Okay. My mascots.
Do you evolve them?
Bunny. Huh?
Do you evolve them?
In my playthrough, yes. Okay. Canonically, no. But yeah, Cinnamon, Peaches, and Sage are my Scorbunny from Galar. Yeah. From Shield. My Pichu is from Pokemon Legends Arceus because it was this really tiny, cute Pichu that I saw, and I was like, oh, okay, well, adding that to the team.
That's the one.
Yeah, and then, of course, Sage is my Meowscarada from SV, who is my starter. And then I have Tiny the Sylveon, who was a very tiny Eevee from PLA, who saved me during the post-game part of that, where I was almost dead. Yes. It was crazy. Yeah, so Tiny. Lady the Melodic from Oras. Nice. I love Melodic's whole lore. I think it's amazing.
It is cool.
Especially with the ability competitive, just really cool. And then my last Pokemon, and
You're saying so competitive, its ability competitive ties into the fact that it's a competitor of the beauty. What is it called?
no, so it starts out
contests?
as a Feebas.
Yeah.
And originally in Generation 3, in order to evolve Feebas, you had to give it beauty
Yeah.
things. You had to get it so it would think it was beautiful, to realize that it had like beauty inside.
Yeah.
And because obviously Feebas is not
Pretty.
great. No. But if you convince it it's beautiful, then it evolves into Melodic, and then it has the ability competitive, where if its stats are brought down, its special attack goes up. So it's
Sure.
basically like you've got this small bullied fish that you convince it that it's beautiful on the inside, then it evolves, and it doesn't, like, if people try to bring it down, it doesn't let them
It
anymore.
like hypes itself
So-
up.
Exactly.
That's
like
cool.
I relate to that a lot because of how I grew up. So I'm like, oh, okay. Like,
I love that.
I don't know. I like that one. And
I
then
never
my
thought
last
of it.
one is
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, go on.
no. Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
No, I never linked the ability to the story of that. That's really cool.
Yeah. And then my last Pokemon is Golem, which I would have
Very
transferred
good.
from Crystal if my game didn't die, but it was the first Pokemon I ever got to level 100 back in Gen 2,
That's
which was
sick.
not
Wow.
easy to do.
Yeah.
Level creep was really bad there.
Yeah.
So that was my first level 100, and it was basically my starter in Crystal because Chikorita did not survive
Yeah.
flying types at all.
So
That's cool.
So did you get that from the Crystal Virtual Console on the 3DS? The Golem?
No, I mean, I got it in Crystal when Crystal came out
Yeah.
when I was a
Hey.
kid.
But you don't have that same save file.
No, the battery died, so I had to recreate it.
Where'd you recreate it? In SV? What's its like original
Yeah,
game?
yeah, in
Okay.
Kitakami.
All right. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Nice. So these are
Yeah.
all really recent Pokemon. I love that.
He's been reborn.
Yeah. I do that all the time. I every Swampert I get, I name Matthew for whatever reason. So I'm on to like Matthew the 9th, and I do Roman numerals. Roman numerals, and then
There you go.
I do that for a lot of Pokemon. Scarlet the Scizor. I do that for Hendrix the Beedrill. I don't know why.
Ooh, that's a good name.
But
fun.
yeah. So that's cool. That's a really good team.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, so do you do that? So when you said your canonical team, I was thinking like of all time, and maybe just coincidentally, all of the Pokemon that you mentioned are actually from Generation 9. I guess that's not true. The last like couple years of games.
Yeah, a lot of them are more recent. I mean, Lady has since Oras. It's been longer than we'd
A
like
little
to
ways.
No,
admit.
you're right.
Yeah,
That's true.
it's
That's
a
actually
little
really
ways.
recent.
Yeah.
That's cool. Do you
And
get
I did have Klefki before
Oh, cool.
for a while. Klefki's was really fun competitively for a little while.
Klefki is
so.
similar to Sableye competitively, right? With the prankster ability.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
do
Set
you-
up screens,
Yeah.
all sorts of things. So.
Do you think
Fun
do you see yourself like evolving that team over time? Like
Yeah.
in Gen 10, who's most likely to be
Yeah.
swapped out?
So I'm trying to see what's going to be the next starters, because a lot of times lately I've been adding the starters. I don't know what the starters are going to be. I already have like a fire and a grass starter as part of my mascots.
Yeah.
So everybody's saying, well, they better come up with a good water starter
Yeah.
next generation so that it can be added. But
Yeah.
Makes sense.
I don't
Yeah.
know. We'll have to see.
That's good. That's good. So what's your
Fun to
favorite
think
Pokemon game? I'm curious.
Crystal.
Okay.
I played Crystal so much when I was a kid. So many
That's a good
hours.
pick. That's a good pick.
Yeah, it hit right when I was like in elementary, middle school, like
Yeah.
right around that age, revealing how old I am. But
Yeah.
yeah, oh, it hit so hard, and I just played forever,
Yeah.
like
Crystal was the
so many hours.
I never had Crystal until the Virtual Console, which obviously isn't the actual game. Or it's the actual game, but it's not the cartridge. And yeah, I think I always wanted to play Crystal. I felt like a fake fan. There was like gaps in my plate, right? I was like, I think Silver was the first one I got, which is essentially the same game, right? And that's why I love Ampharos now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember
cool.
in Crystal, the first time I saw Phanpy, because it was back before the internet and leaks and those kind of things. The first time I saw Phanpy, it was pretty rare in the area that it was,
That's
and
so
so I thought it
true.
was a mythical
Yeah.
because it looks all cute. And in those
And
games, like there were roaming legendaries.
Yeah.
So I thought like, oh, I found this mythical Pokemon, and then it got away or something like that.
It
And I
always
was like,
flees from battle. Yeah.
yeah.
That's crazy. Honestly, that is so true. Like in Crystal version, the fact that that's like a really big switch up. That's like on par with Black 2, White 2 when it comes to changing the early encounters from Gold and Silver to Crystal version. Having access to those late game Pokemon so early on, and they retain their rarity with how they escape from battle. That's like a really, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, it's a really underrated addition to those games.
Especially because that was in like a side route that you didn't have to go to.
Yeah. That's near. Do you get it in the same? No, you get it in the route that leads to, Cherry. What is it called?
I think it's Blackthorn.
Blackthorn.
There's
yeah.
like a route that you go down.
Yeah. That's not where you get Dunsparce though. All right, cool. That's good. Yeah, that's really cool. What do you think you'd like to see added to the Johto region whenever we eventually go back to that region in the next decade?
I'm kind of looking for a game that allows us to go to more regions. I really like how SV allowed us to go basically to Unova, kind of, and then also to kind of between Sinnoh and the Hoenn Johto area.
Yeah.
So being able to travel to multiple regions is something I think people have wanted for a long time, even if it's in a limited format, kind of like this. So I'm hoping that if we get another Johto game, obviously we'll probably go to Kanto, but why not also add in the Sevi Islands? Why not also add in, going up more towards Sinnoh, because it's not that far away, going towards Hoenn, like
make
those
the ultimate
areas are nearby, or even just Kitakami, it's right there.
Yeah, it really is. That would be really incredible to see like the ultimate Japanese Pokemon game, right? Even if it's just limited to Kanto, Johto, and then all of those extra peripherals, maybe they add some extra stuff, right? Maybe Kitakami is available. I mean, these are just like these are. It would be
cool. Yeah, it would be cool just because it's Johto. So like Johto was the game that you got to get to go to another region in. Like this is Johto, like definitive version where you get to go to other places again. You know what I mean?
And I don't know if I'm just crazy
thematic.
and nostalgic and like, but like, yeah, I think there actually is a little bit of a chance with Johto and Kanto returning. I think we could definitely see that. If I was talking about Hoenn, I think I'd be out of my mind. But if I was talking about like a Lola, no shot. But yeah, that's really cool.
Totally.
And along that same thought, I think the terrarium is such a great addition to it's almost like a great solution in a lot of ways. Not really, but you kind of get, because there's 4 different biomes, it almost feels like there's 4 different locations akin to Kitakami. So you go to this Japanese inspired village in Kitakami, but then you also have like the wild savanna, right? You have this tropical shoreline that feels like a Lola, right? You have the icy mountainous tundra that feels like Sinnoh in a lot of ways, or any other sort of mountainous terrain. And there's so many like small other biomes within that, like the mountaintop that has all of the black augurite. That's like a location that we've never even seen, right? We assume that they're only in Hisui, but I don't think we've ever seen a location like that. That's not in Hisui, right?
Yeah. No.
So it makes you wonder, like, where is that only in the terrarium, or
well, yeah, it's artificial though. Like they built it.
It is
so
artificial, yeah.
They could get a Cleavor basically.
Yeah.
They made it happen.
But they're probably also, but if these
Science.
are living creatures, right? They are probably imitating what these Pokemon,
like their natural habitats were.
Right? And that's probably why we see the nature preserve being like recreated entirely in the terrarium. Did you guys see that on Twitter?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's really a very interesting point, that whole nature preserve thing, because it makes it seem like that's what Blueberry Academy was in Black and White, and they built it from there, because it's the exact same.
Yeah, that's
So
that's the theory. I don't know if I buy it.
I kind of love that idea though. Like it's just that's what it was back then, and then they just built around it and like I don't know,
Sure.
put it under. Because the thing is that you can't.
It's a nature preserve. They're preserving that area.
Yeah, and you fly there, right?
Yeah,
So,
in black and white, you can't get there other than like they say something like it's far away or something like that. I forget exactly what it is.
So you're saying okay? I'm sorry. I've heard one theory that they said like the nature preserve was then removed and brought into the terrarium, but you're just saying like where we fly on the nature preserve is literally the terrarium.
Yeah,
That's
it's
what
like
you're saying?
where it first was.
Oh.
Yeah,
So they don't move the land mass. They don't move the land mass.
If you scroll up this tweet, the one that Mordecai says, I think
Yeah.
he mentions it right there in the one underneath it. There, Mordecai.
Someone
I
said
don't
that
know.
it's probably the actual same location. Yeah, in black and white too, you had to take a plane there, and it wasn't accessible like the rest of the map. I mean, that is all true. I actually do like that. I think I didn't like it because it didn't make sense. I don't know who said the theory that it was relocated to the terrarium, but if like this is retconning where we go in the nature preserve, I kind of love that. The only thing that doesn't make sense, is in the nature preserve. It's in the top, at least what you see in Unova in the Gen 5 games. It's we're off the map, but I'm pretty sure we can see that we're in the northwest, some sort of area to the northwest, which would suggest somewhere on mainland, right? Mainland Unova or mainland U.S. United States, right?
Yeah,
But they could definitely retcon that.
it could
For
also
sure.
be that areas in the terrarium are meant to duplicate areas in other places.
Well, that's what
that's the most likely case. Like,
that's what I
Yeah,
think.
so like they know that area. It's not that far away. It makes sense that they would duplicate it there.
yeah, they just like 1-to-1 replicated it. That's like the most like likely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was also suggesting just another fan theory, but that it's like the same thing but in a parallel universe because there's the Haxorus there, which is the shiny Haxorus, and then in the Blueberry Academy there's a
terrestrial. Oh
a
yeah,
stellar.
sure,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a stellar Haxorus one there. So it's like it's the same exact place, same thing, but it's a different kind of Haxorus, which is kind of cool.
I just look at it as an Easter egg. I guess in lore, I do like
That's
the.
what it is.
I don't know. I kind of like both of these actually now at this point because all these trees and stuff really could just be like if you move to the west of where you're blocked off, all of a sudden, like there's the safari biome or whatever is to the left of this, right? But yeah, I think what's more exciting, I mean, this is like great bait. I think it's definitely a purposeful Easter egg left by the developers at Game
No
Freak.
doubt.
But I think what's actually way more fruitful is the idea of what Kayla just said, and it's what I believe, is that the terrarium basically imitates real life locations in the Pokemon universe. This is an example of it imitating the nature preserve. But then what that would also tell me is, what is the Safari Zone area imitating? What is, right? It could just be another Safari Zone, but it could also be this, it could actually be like a Savannah Pokemon region that we're going to go to at some point in the future.
One of the things I always encourage people is if they see something like this, see if there's a pattern.
Yeah.
So, for example, we found one instance of it replicating a specific spot on the map. Are there other instances of it replicating different spots? And they don't even have to be from Unova. They could be from other regions. So we kind of need to do like a full deep dive into this map, see if there's other areas that are similar.
Yeah.
I think it's probably likely that we will find something. So it's kind of up to whoever wants to be the first person to dive into that.
I could
agree
totally
that
see
there's
the
probably something.
Savannah area being a 1-to-1 of like whatever the Safari Zone is in Kanto. I could see that, right? I mean, we already see all the Pokemon there. This biome right here, what is this called? Like the craggy
Canyon, I think.
Yeah, canyon biome. This I feel like we haven't seen. I feel like we haven't seen this at all. So that would be a new location possibly, right? Where are there a lot of canyons in the world?
The other main thing is the Chargestone Cavern. That's like
For sure, dude. Yeah.
it's not 1-to-1 like the same map or anything, but it is
No.
like exactly a callback to the cave.
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely.
Right. Oh, and there's another cave that has torches that's similar to
Does
the
it?
cave in PLA. Yeah.
Torches? What do you mean?
The torches look exactly like the torches in PLA, and it's one
Really?
of those caves where you get lost in.
Torches?
Interesting.
Yeah, yeah. There's a place. I forget what it's called, but there's a place with torches, and it's supposed to be like a windy maze. I forget exactly what it's called, but
Dang, Lumi would know.
I know. He's like, oh, it's
Lumi
actually
knows.
this. What do you
He
mean
knows
torches?
like every location. It's so wild.
You mean like
there's
like fire on a stick?
yeah, like fire on a stick. Yeah, there's in PLA there's a part where there's different torches, and we go through this like winding tunnel, and you can get lost, and it's kind of meant to be a place where you get lost. It's with Ingo.
Okay.
It was the part with Ingo when we like are going through, and
Oh,
he's
yes,
telling
yes.
us all his.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
what you're talking
There's
about.
a place that's just like that in the terrarium.
Mm-hmm. I know
Interesting.
what you're talking. That's
I
probably in
haven't
the
seen it.
canyon area too, because it feels similar, but I could be wrong.
I forget exactly where, but yeah, there is a windy spot, and it has the same torches,
All right.
and it's very clearly like similar. Not like I don't think it's 1-to-1, but it's very similar.
All right,
I'll
we'll
have
send
to
this to
go check
Lumi,
that
and
out.
he can check it out while he's sick. He can do that research for us. All right, well that's really cool. Because I don't know, I don't know. I'm just obsessed with this idea. I should probably do some of the research. Because this whole area up here, the tropical area, just feels like Alola. I mean, maybe it's probably just because of all the Alolan Pokemon. It's also just a tropical area.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any
I
other
like that
theories
idea,
around these though?
That's a fun theory for sure. With what you're saying, like it could be like the canyon one is like a Gen 10 region,
Yeah.
or the Savannah one. That's
Or,
fun.
or just whatever we're gonna see in the future. I think I really and I think Kitakami has also opened up the possibility that we can return to new regions in a smaller capacity in whatever region or whatever game that we're playing. Gen 10 could be random, just say anything in South America, but the DLC could be, say whatever you want in, I don't know, it could be, I don't know, you go to Germany or something. I don't know. I think it's really interesting.
Even having like side quests that are like, hey, we
Yeah.
need you to go to Johto, to this specific
Yeah.
city, and go
Dude,
deliver
yeah.
this
Go
mail.
to Olivine City. Yeah, that's really
Yeah,
cool.
it doesn't have to be even a whole big DLC. It can just be a like, hey, you have this one side quest where you're going to
Yeah.
go there, and now if you ever want to go back there, you have that option.
Well, how about this? Are there? I guess all of these locations could possibly be references. Maybe not. Actually, not at all. I was gonna say maybe references to Unova, right? Because we have the Chargestone Cave, we've got the Nature Preserve. Could the what is this called, the canyon? I feel like there are, what is it, like Twist Mountain? There are canyons. Is it Twist Mountain, Reversal Mountain?
I don't know. I'm not too well versed in it.
Yeah, I gotta finish my.
It's been a
playthrough.
while since Unova.
Mhm.
It's been a bit.
Yep.
Yeah. All right.
True.
I guess I'll bench that a little bit. But what are the things that you guys like loving about the DLC? I think
I mean, while we're on this topic, like this was the second thing I was gonna bring up when you asked me about like pros about this. Like
Yeah.
I love what they did with this, the whole the terrarium. Like it's better designed to me than Paldea's like open world. This feels like an open world to me.
Yes.
I don't know who designed it, but it's
Yeah.
way better. It feels fuller, and I don't know if it's just because it's kind of smaller than Paldea, or
I think because there's
or what, but
I feel like because
there's so much diversity.
so much diversity. The whole
Yeah.
the whole area is dynamic. Not only because there's 4 biomes, but also because there's ups and downs, and there's random things, and there's like I love
the cubes, by the way.
Yeah, the
All
cubes
like,
are cool.
Yeah.
They're
so cool.
Oh, I haven't even seen Ditto yet.
I've been playing a lot with my partner, and it's been really fun because one of us will find something really cool. Like I found surfing ride-on. I don't know if you guys.
Yes,
have
I
found
did
that,
see
but-
that. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
there's
cool.
a surfing ride-on in like a cave in the water, and I found that, and then I was like, oh, like you got to mark this on your map. You need to go check this out. And so playing multiplayer is really fun.
Yeah.
Because you can
That's
just be
great.
like, oh, like mark the map here, go to this spot, and you'll see this. And
There were
then
a lot of
he'll find something.
There definitely
Yeah.
were a lot of like Easter eggs like that in the base Paldea, right? Like I remember like what was it, like a water type Garchomp, right? To reference the fact that it's a shark. Like I feel like there were a lot
Yeah.
of cool Terra types like that. I feel like this region though, it feels as dynamic as, even more so than Legends Arceus. For whatever reason, I don't know why, but and this is what I keep thinking about. I'm like, every Pokemon game is a stepping stone. I feel like the voice acting in the what do you call it? It's not cinematography. What is it? Just like how dramatic and entertaining the cutscenes were. That feels like a stepping stone to whatever we're going to see in Gen 10. I also feel like the open world. This was it started with Wild Area. It started with the Wild Area, which wasn't an open world, right? We got what we got in Paldea. And this feels like a directly what we're going to be seeing in the next Generation 10 game. Like an actual open world biome that has ups and downs and is confusing. There's specific landmarks, right? There's things in the world, like a nest up on a tree that actually houses a Pokemon. We did see a lot of that in Generation 9. You got to give, I want to give credit for that, right? There's like applins in the tree. We do see a lot of that.
It's all stepping stones, right? So like, what we saw in Paldea was like the first, actually the wild area in Sword and Shield was like the first like little taste of an open world. And this was like their proper open world.
Yeah.
And now this is like another level of it. So, like this is only a good direction if they keep going this way. Like with the terrarium is like really.
I agree. I agree. I'm really excited. Any thoughts, Kayla?
Yeah, I'm really excited with where they're going. I think that there is a lot of potential with what they're doing. I hope that they make their towns as explorable as the world. Because I know that was a problem in SV. Mm-hmm. So as long as they can do that, we're good.
Yeah. That is so brutal. I forgot you can't go into houses. That really is such a disappointment. For whatever
there's two sides to it, right?
It's stupid. Always. Yeah, it's stupid, but it's also like that's like breaking into people's houses. That's like a cornerstone of a Pokemon game. Right? Yeah. Just talking to people and then the wife's like, my husband's at work, but take this macho brace.
Yeah. We always got a lot of lore about what that town was like from going and visiting. And in most parts of the world you can't really do that, but in certain parts of the world you can knock on the door and say hi and have conversations. So it just depends on what country you're in, but probably America is very much not like that. No, America is very much not like that, but in other countries not always like that. So cool. Let us go in.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, I totally agree. The other feature is the synchro machine, which I haven't even messed around with yet.
I haven't done it yet either. I was just thinking about it
today. I did it once.
You did do it. Where do you unlock it? I beat the game. I just
right in the center. Yeah, there's a person right in the center of the map.
Do that.
Yeah,
I gotta unlock that.
Yeah, you can do it anytime.
Okay.
Right when you start.
Oh, when you start, you can do it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, sweet. I guess this is kind of off topic, but I found myself in a horde of Scizor, and I was just battling them all, and it's so cool. They start screaming.
Are you talking about in this mode? Or
not in this mode. No, not in this mode. But it was it made me feel like that, or just I don't know. I think I'm having a lot of cool moments like that with the DLC. I'm having a lot of fun just seeing all the Pokemon. But I wanna mess around with the synchro machine. This also feels like a stepping stone where they're giving. I mean, we talked about it on the podcast already. They very clearly say this is like a prototype of something that could happen in the future. I'm just realizing the person's name is Sinclair. That's hilarious.
I just think that they need to patch the issue with destroying shinies.
Yeah.
Because that's not so great.
Do you mean in this though? I mean, I agree with you if you're saying that. I think they should do it in this already.
Because right now, if you play as a Pokemon, they just attack shinies.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they should fix it here and now.
Yeah. Yeah, please fix now, because that's like a nightmare. I don't want to destroy a shiny.
Yeah. You can't go too far from your player character. That's what I would suggest. Because if you just go back to it, it won't respawn if you're not too far away.
Oh, that's good. I feel like you have to be
only way.
I feel like you have to be really close then.
It's actually a good way of shiny hunting. If you get a big group of Pokemon together and you just start attacking them all, you just kill a whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
And your odds go up, and if your player character is really nearby, you just swap back to them once you find the shiny.
I essentially do that with
Synchro. With Synchro, they defeat shinies automatically.
Yeah, true. If you're just like
really?
button mashing it.
Yeah.
It's like the riskiest
I didn't
shiny
know that.
hunting method that
Yeah,
you could
it's the
ever do.
riskiest thing for shinies
Yeah.
to go synchro. So if you're a shiny hunter, be careful.
Do you think that's like an error?
I don't know if they thought about it really, which is interesting.
Mm.
I don't know. It's just cruel if it wasn't an error.
Because I don't know.
But-
I mean, I guess it's just a shiny. The thing is
They
like
should have just blocked shinies if they didn't want it to like be a thing. Like Pokemon cannot show up shiny.
yeah. What if this is what they meant to shiny lock, and instead they shiny locked every other legendary by mistake?
The legendary thing is huge, man. It's actually really disappointing, the legendary thing. I was just thinking about it today because I'm like, I'm probably not gonna do the legendary quest things because I have I have all the legendaries. I just want to get a Cubfu because I have some weird Cubfu that I don't want.
Do you really?
Got traded.
Where's
I
it
got
from?
traded. I got traded one because I was trading for a lot of these legendaries, and it's got like I don't know, one of those hacker names on it. You know, like the name,
Sure. Yeah.
like
Yeah.
some .com something. I don't even know what it is, but I
Oh,
just
is
want to
this-
get I want to get a real Cubfu. But don't spoil things.
Is this a
Don't
spoiler?
spoil. I don't know for me and for her.
Oh.
I know what's up with that.
I know. I'm just saying, like he might go over some paradoxes
Sorry.
quickly.
That's good that you like didn't actually look at the paradox. I waited like a day before looking at anything, and then I was like, all right, I need to look at it. So we recorded an episode, and I was able to look at it, get it out of my system. Yeah. Anyways, actually, yeah. Back to the conversation we had earlier. This is something else that I
Which
saw
one?
on Twitter. We were talking about the how the biomes in the terrarium could be references to other locations. Just to briefly, I forgot to bring this up, but this is Goompy on Twitter. They say that actually, well, I guess Joe Merrick Serebi was saying that that the new discovery is the time zones in the terrarium are inverted differences from real life, which is pretty cool. So the terrarium is 18 minutes ahead of Paldea in terms of the day, time of day. 18 minutes would be about 6 hours in real time. Spain is 6 hours ahead of New York. So that's honestly really cool to get additional confirmation or additional evidence that that the Pokemon world really does mirror the Earth world, our world.
That we live on.
Yeah.
no,
'Cause-
it's true. It's like there's like two ways to kind of look at the Pokemon world, and there's some people that believe like it's almost not exactly a one-to-one of our world.
I mean, I don't
And
think
then
it is a
There's
one-to-one.
people that were like it's all made up kind of thing, where like they're wherever, but more and more it seems likely that they're like actually modeling it after our own world.
Yeah, but it gets a
I
little
think
bit.
lore-wise, it makes a lot of sense for it to be parallel with our world, considering
Yeah, I
it's
agree.
like a created world that's like alternate to ours in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think I don't know. It because back in the day, it definitely wasn't that necessarily. I think it was a lot blurrier
not at
to
all.
understand
No.
what was what, and they still take a lot of liberties. Like if we have a region based on New York City, there's still a desert, there's still mountains, right? None of that is
Right.
actually in New York. But
Right, and back then you would never be like, oh yeah, it's just like our world.
yeah,
But now,
because I used
like
to
with
yeah.
from like Kalos on, it was like, okay, this all like seems like it's exactly where it is in the real world.
Yeah, I used to
Yeah,
think
definitely Kalos was a breaking point for it, for sure.
I-
Especially considering the lore.
for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, definitely. I used to think that the Unova was based on the United States. I used to think of it as like I think the way
I mean, it kind of is.
yeah, if you break down
Well, it's specifically like New York, New
Mhm.
Jersey,
Yeah.
Queens. Like I can find where I am right now on the Unovan map, which is really
Right.
fun.
if you break
is
down
fun.
Unova, it's like UN or UNOV is of UN of A, and I think of it like I guess that doesn't totally make sense, but like U of A, United States of America, something like that.
Yeah.
I feel like it breaks
Right.
down pretty.
There is an actual
there's
thing
something
there.
There's something there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's actually pretty cool, and I guess makes theory crafting a little bit more direct. When you can be like, if this is literally New York, then literally in the northeast area could be Connecticut or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Something random, right? Kayla,
Pretty much.
I know we want to make a
Yeah, I'm like thinking New England. I'm like
Pokemon region, which would be fun. But if you go north, I mean, we've theorized with some other people on the podcast before. If you go north, right, there's a border and there's Canada, right? If you go north of Unova, so there's a lot of possibilities, especially with it being that much more direct. I don't know. It just kind of gives me a little bit more credence to get a little bit wackier. Let's see. Yeah, Kayla.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting because like I grew up in Connecticut.
Yeah.
And now I live in New York. Basically the Blueberry Academy is probably somewhere in between that area.
Yeah.
And so for me, playing at Blueberry Academy very much felt like what my school was like growing up because we knew everybody's class rank. People
Really?
talked about it. You knew everyone's rank. Yeah, it was a thing, especially like at school. It was like, especially if you were like one of the people in honors classes, like everybody knew. And we would talk about it and be like, oh, so-and-so beat out so-and-so for number 1. Oh, now so-and-so is number 3. Like we discussed that all the time. So the fact that they incorporated that into the game and had people beating each other out for different ranks, I was like, oh yeah, that's American, especially in that part of America. That's high school right there.
I don't know if I just wasn't very like, academically inclined. Yeah, I don't think we ever spoke about it like that.
You know what's funny is we're technically all New Englanders right now.
No, that's true.
Fun.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, I was born in Rhode Island, so.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's great. Soul, you should hop on. I keep wavering. I'm like, maybe Kayla and I will just make a video about a New England region, and then I was like, well, you know what? Maybe we'll just do like a podcast on Headcanon on my channel, and then I'm like, but if you're from New England, you should be here, and it should be Hidden Power. We should do a Hidden Power episode about our New England region.
I mean, I'm down.
If you're down, I'm down.
It's fun. I love.
We should have done that today, then, without Lumi.
Yeah, just the South Carolina boy, North Carolina boy, whatever he is.
I keep accidentally going back to this, but like if we are seeing glimpses of other regions, and the DLC does allow us to go wherever we want in the Pokemon world, right? The DLC does give us access theoretically to any location. Kayla, how are you feeling with eventually going back to Kalos or any sort of reference there? Because in the DLC, I guess this is a spoiler. There's a bunch of Kalos items and costumes, there's costumes and items that refer back to characters from the Kalos region. Also the Hoenn region.
I think Kalos is one of the most interesting ones to go back to because every other region's gimmick is very much tied to that particular place. Like Alola has the Z crystals; it's part of their culture. Here we can only terrestrialize if you have the crystals. There's a sense of it just belonging in that area. For Kalos, it's a little bit different because Megastones are something that are kind of like brought to Kalos more. They're not necessarily native to Kalos in the exact same way, like it relates to the war. So whether or not they have Mega Evolution in Kalos totally changes the lore there. So if we go back to Kalos in a game where there is no Mega Evolution, the lore has to be slightly different.
Weird.
True.
For that version of Kalos.
That's
so
true.
We could potentially get a lot of multiversal things if we ever do go back to Kalos. And that's why you should play Pokemon Snap.
Oh, well, we have. I should play it, actually.
Yeah.
No, because
even
Pokemon
when Lumi's
Snap...
not on the podcast, someone still says that.
Pokemon Snap
lives on.
Pokemon Snap is non-mega timeline and features references to Kalos.
Okay.
So
Good.
I highly recommend playing it because it shows you one possibility for a non-mega Kalos.
Interesting. Well, do you think Paldea is non-mega timeline? Because there's obviously tons of references to Kalos, but also I think it's Drayton has a Sceptile, which if he has a bunch of dragons and he has a Sceptile, that's a reference to Mega Sceptile.
There's also a reference in what's it called, Roaring Moon's entry.
Yes, exactly. And actually, I didn't even realize this. I said it. I didn't even realize it. The items here that you can get in the DLC is a reference to Hoenn and Kalos, both of which have megas. Yeah.
Yes.
Ball Guy's there too, but
yeah, but Ball Guy's
I don't think it really hints to anything, but it's fun for the sake of conversation.
Yeah,
but they're also epic items.
Yeah,
say that.
I'm not saying it's a hint. I'm just the existence of them though does confirm that Kalos is a real place.
I see what you mean.
Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Of course.
And that certain events must have probably occurred there to some extent, but how were they different is the question. Yeah, it's always interesting because each game is its own universe. So it could have some events from Kalos and some events not. It's impossible to say that events occurred exactly the same, but they could be similar in a lot of ways, even in a non-mega situation.
Yeah.
Right.
I guess what this could be, so my headcanon is that they were all of these Team Flare people were arrested. And then all of their costumes and technology went off to auction, and that's why that's why they're being auctioned off, and you can bid on them to win them. That's how I'm understanding it.
That's funny.
And then, that's interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's cool. This is the kind of interconnectivity that I like to see. I do wish there was more customization. I mean,
this is already a good step in that direction, though. There should be more. There should be more. I agree, but I was happy when I saw this because I was like, actually, you can see my that is my tweet. So it's like they actually have clothing options like other ones than just just the uniforms.
But even I would love to get whose hair is it? I don't know, Drayton has cool hair. Why can't I have his hair? Oh, no. Kieran has cool hair. I want Kieran's hair, right? Why can't we customize with all that stuff?
That'd be so funny, too. You show up and, you have Kieran's hair.
And
he
his
has a line
ogre
of dialogue. You have ogre pun and you look like me.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, he's like, you're literally trying to be me. Dude, Kieran ended up... Oh, we can't talk about spoilers. When Lumi's back
No, let's
hopefully Soul's done, and then we can talk about it.
No, by next week, I'll have it probably done.
Yeah.
So I wanted to, take my time with it, This is something we talked about a little bit, but, I don't know. I when I got into this whole content creation game, I was I promised myself that I wouldn't, rush through things just for the sake of making some stuff. So that's just, my own conviction that I just want to enjoy it.
That's
I waited.
Good, though. I respect
how long
it.
have we waited for this? And then people are done in 2 days. I'm like, how is it allowed? Not only that, but life also. I haven't gotten to play it just because of life.
Yeah. No, I agree. I had to put time aside this week to play it just so we could record some podcasts. And it kind of stinks because I'm I was just putting work off, and I'm like, okay, well, I still have to do that. I'll be doing that tomorrow. Anyways.
No, I get it though.
3 days.
Yeah.
I took 3 days off work and I set it up so that I record for an hour and then I just play and do whatever I want when I'm not recording. So
That's cool.
My hours of recording are just purely I'm going to work on the story. I'm going to do that. And I'm going to focus. And then when I'm off camera, it's I'm going to just run around and explore and hang out with my Pokemon. And so it gets that nice balance of yes, I need to finish this game. But I also want to just run around and be like, oh, there's a surfing Rhyhorn or Rhydon. That's really cool.
So cool. And I'm not judging anybody. Play how you want. You know what I mean? Do whatever you want.
It's just a preference.
At the same time, where you're just this is kind of what I do.
Yeah.
So it's fun. I spent the entire night when it came out on Twitter. I didn't even get to play it because I was just literally posting tons of things about it.
See, that's funny though. Your form of making content isn't actually playing it. For a lot of people, if they're gonna make videos, they need to finish the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's a little bit. That's true because that actually is a trend. We'll be that is a trend. Yeah, I feel like your type of content creation is commentary purely, right? Mm-hmm. So it doesn't allow you to play the game, right?
Which is times.
It's kind of
but I really like doing that though, so it's super enjoyable to me.
Sure, yeah,
anyway.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think something else I kind of want to talk about just briefly. I think it's pretty cool. Lumi texted me. Actually, there's two things that Lumi texted me. The first thing he texted me, which is what I was going to bring up, is that fact that
Pokemon Snap.
Well, yeah. First he texted me that, and then Lumi texted me that Archaludon could be classified as a pseudo-legendary, and then he also texted me. He also texted us that Lacey's parents are what's her name? Elisa and Clay.
Yeah,
but that's not canon.
Yeah. No, it's not. That was not.
Yeah.
That was proven false.
No,
it's not it.
No.
What'd you think about that?
About that crazy rumor thing? Or
Yeah.
about
How did that even pop up? He said it with such
Somebody
conviction.
made it up.
Somebody
made it up.
Yeah, someone legit just made it up.
That's
Alyssa
funny. Are we
is the
surprised?
same age-ish as Skyla. They're
Oh.
not the same age as Clay.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, it was a scary thought, that's for sure. But
Yeah, the
we
age
thought
difference
that it
there
was
is
real.
dramatic.
I didn't know that. Mm.
I trusted Lumi.
I did
what
too.
happened. I trusted Lumi,
Man,
and he said
I can never
gave
trust
me
him again.
false information. But yeah, it's like
he
somebody on
was
4chan
getting
made it
sick.
up.
He was getting sick.
Yeah,
I guess
he's probably a little
we
delirious.
Yeah, he's a little.
He didn't
loopy.
think it through.
He didn't. He said, oh, "This is a good idea." He had a Dusty moment.
Probably. That's funny. As for I don't know if you want to talk about that more, but I know that's pretty much it.
What No, I have nothing else to say.
Okay. Okay.
I just thought it was a funny moment.
Yeah, as for the Archaludon thing, that's actually another thing that came from Lumi. Like, he's the one that first said that, and I just ran with it.
I think it's true. I think
but
it
I
it
agree.
makes sense.
I agree with him. Yeah, I do. Like I've said online, like, I'm not ready to die on that hill. If it's wrong, then it's wrong. Like,
Yeah.
I don't care that much. But
Aren't they calling it that in Japan though?
right? They're called 600 Club Pokemon.
Yeah, so basically,
Right.
just
But
so
aren't they counting it as one of the ones in the
Oh,
club?
I don't actually know if they are in Japan or not.
Yeah, so to clarify
ask a
for
Japanese person.
listeners. Yeah, so
Yeah.
to clarify for listeners, right? Pseudo legendaries have been around since Generation 1. The first one was Dragonite. And I always understood it was classified as a pseudo legendary because it has 600 base stat totals. It's also a rare Pokemon. It's also a dragon, which was kind of legendary at the time. That's the only thing that I thought. And then the trend continued. You have one Pokemon, I guess in Gen 3 there was two, but you have one Pokemon
And
with 600
one of them
base
wasn't
stats.
Dragon, by the way.
Yeah, one of them wasn't a dragon.
Yeah, that broke the trend.
Actually, two of them. There was Metagross as well, right?
Well, that's what
Yeah.
I'm thinking of. I don't know what you're thinking
Yep.
of.
Tyranitar.
Salam.
Oh, yeah, Tyranitar.
But Tyranitar looks like a dragon. Anyways.
Oh yeah.
So that's how I always understood it, right? It has 600 base stats, which is akin and higher than a lot of legendaries. Like, I'm pretty sure Moltres, like the legendary birds, the legendary beasts, Cobalion, all of them, they don't even have 600 base stat total. So to me, it's the 600 BST, base stat total, that makes a Pokemon pseudo-legendary. Then Lumi says, hey, the new Pokemon Archaludon has 600 base stats. So it's and it's a dragon. So it's kind of like a legendary, a pseudo-legendary. That's the context. And yeah, so you can chime in now.
No, I just, I didn't want to get into it with, like, because tons of people were, like, arguing about it. I'm like, oh, wow, I didn't think that there would be I just posted just being like, wow, look, it's a pseudo-legendary.
It's a cool new thing.
Nuts. but yeah, like, I think I looked into it a little more, and the main thing is that there's no other Pokemon. Archaludon is the only one other than pseudo legendaries that has 600 base stat total.
Yeah,
like
other
all the
than
rest of them,
legendaries.
But that's the whole point
megas.
of pseudo. That's the whole point of pseudo legendaries is that they're not legendaries.
Yes,
they're
but they
like
have stats
legendaries
of a legendary. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's a little complicated. I was just looking up now because I'm like, I thought about it today because somebody messaged or somebody replied and they were like, that there's other Pokemon that have like, or the pseudo legendaries have higher than 600. That would change things a little bit because
they don't.
I'm under the impression that they're exactly 600.
They're exactly
Exactly.
600.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then that makes the argument null and void in my opinion.
Yeah, I saw somebody like post like a Mega Evolution too, and it was like, oh, I was like, no, that doesn't count.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Nope.
And I
think it is, to be honest. I'm in the camp of it is.
And it is a dragon, so you have that to add to it. I guess the thing that's confusing that people have also added is that like they said that the rule is that a pseudo legendary has to be 3 stages, which historically it has been, so that does make sense. But also, and then what was the other thing? I think it was also that
the experience they
the
gain
experience
slowly.
game. As if anyone cares about experience game.
I've never thought about that in my life.
So stupid. That
I have cared about that.
No,
yes.
that doesn't make sense. No, no.
You know the only Pokemon
like,
I've ever thought about.
That's not like a fun,
is,
exciting thing. That's just like it's like a thing. It's like a thing in the code.
I've just never classified it as pseudo legendary. Like I've never thought, all pseudo legendaries have like a slow. And I guess they do, but the only Pokemon I've ever thought about is Volcarona. Like Larvesta to Volcarona has the only one that's ever caused me problems, and that's not a pseudo legendary. No, I don't think.
Nincada also has like a horrible stat gain as well, but that's because when it evolves into 2 different Pokemon. Like it becomes 2 Pokemon. I've tried to use that in Gen 3.
This is how I look at it. Yeah. If a Pokemon, like, how do I say this? If you take away the 600 base stat total and it's a 3-stage line with a slow experience gain, is it a pseudo legendary again then? Or like what if it had like 400? If you flip it, then it like contradicts it completely. It's really hard for me to explain that in words, but it kind of kills the whole argument.
I just think it's silly. For me,
I mean, it's a fan term in the end anyway, but I'm just like,
I mean, I'd love to hear what you think, Caleb, but like, I'm a big idea guy. So when I say like, I say this stuff on Twitter all the time. I'm like, I'll be like, this is this, and this, and then it just makes sense to me. Theoretically, like this makes sense. And then people always come at me with like the coding not matching up. And to me, I'm like, well, that's just silly. I don't know. I guess the coding does matter. Yeah. The coding can be an indication. And Kayla, I feel like you probably are a code person. You like the logic.
I do know how to code. Yeah.
Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, exactly.
I do that for work. Yeah.
So what's your opinion? I mean, it's just a silly fun thing. But what do you think?
I mean, I think it's a pseudo legendary. I think it counts because it has 600 base stat total. I think that's the most important factor when it comes to a pseudo legendary. I can understand people's arguments against it being a pseudo legendary. I think at the end of the day, you can kind of call it whatever you want.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not going to matter.
I feel the same exact way.
If you're using it in competitive, you're using it for lore. Like it's not. There's no like in-game definition of a pseudo legendary. Nope. So at the end of the day, call it whatever you want to call it.
It reminds me.
It's kind of like the same thing with Blood Moon. Right, where we don't really have a word for it. So we use Blood Moon to mean any of the ones that are like those unique forms.
Yeah.
But there just isn't a good word for that. So we just use the term that we have.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's exactly what it is. I feel like there's always things that happen and patterns emerge. And then Game Freak says, well, let's change it a little bit. Well, there's no time like the present. And then there's room to... I could see like if there continues to be new 600 BST Pokemon... that more align with Archaludon. Yeah, then all of a sudden there's like, well, this is the main pseudo legendary, and then this is like the sub pseudo legendary. Kind of like how we have
like pseudo legendaries are dead because there's no classification for them at all. They're just random Pokemon that are really strong.
Yeah,
that's what I would say. But
sure,
if they just like make a whole bunch of random ones, they're just they're either all or they're not.
Yeah. I'm thinking of like it's like how mythical Pokemon used to only have 100 stats. Actually, Mythicals had the 600 BST. It was 100 exact stat points in each stat until that wasn't a thing in like Gen 6 or something, right? All of a sudden there became all of these new Mythicals. And then also I'm thinking about like when Legends Arceus came out, Let's Go Pikachu came out, people were like, well, this isn't a main series game. But it definitely is a main series game. It's just a different way to look at
literally what this
main series game
is. Yeah.
It's like silly. Anyways.
Yeah.
I don't think legendaries and mythicals were even defined at first either, right? That came later. I think it's defined now.
Yeah.
But it wasn't originally, I don't think.
In Japan, I think it was. But they are still like... Yeah, I think. I'm not 100%. But in English or in international, let's say, they were all classified as legendaries, and then they made a distinct changing of them.
I imagine probably Gen 2, because Gen 1 Mew was like hidden in the code.
It really was.
So
yeah.
Well, it couldn't have been a thing in Gen 1.
No, yeah, I don't I'm
That
not
is-
sure, but
That is actually really cool how it was hidden in code, because like, you know what's hidden in code right now? There is a mythical Pokemon. I'm not going to spoil it. I don't think I want to spoil it. Do you actually know what it is?
I think I know what you mean.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, I got to stop myself. Well, okay, how about this? Let's talk about this. With all of the hints to Gen 5, Kalo, you're on Hidden Power. We got to talk about what could be coming next in 2024. Where are you placing your bets? Do you think we're actually going to see a Gen 5 game? Because I'm just starting to get the inclination that this really this isn't truthfully a Unova DLC, right? Canonically and emotionally, it feels like a Unova DLC. So I'm starting to think, are we even going back to Unova? But what do you think?
I think that we will.
Okay.
I do, because I think that I don't know if we'll go back to Unova in the same time that we did originally in Black and White. I wouldn't be surprised if we go back at a time when we're able to see these characters in some form. But yeah, I think that it's kind of setting it up, because it's been so long since we've been to Unova. Pokemon likes to show us a little bit of something before we go when it's a returning region, so that people who weren't around when the original games came out kind of are like, oh yeah, that's somewhat familiar to me. I want to know about that. So with all the references to it and us literally being in Unova, I think it makes a lot of sense.
I agree. I've been messed around. Like I like to play around in speculation. You know what I mean? But then I have like my own thoughts, my own idea that I believe, kind of thing.
Mhm.
I mean, sometimes they're not as defined, but I agree with you. I am pushing a little bit of Johto here and there, but ultimately I think there's one big thing. It's like, they didn't have to make this DLC Unova. They could have done any other region. Like, why would they do that? I think it's like more of them prepping us for it. Like exactly what you said is basically what I was thinking.
I think it's both. I think it's them prepping us, but also with the way American schools are, it just really fit well with Unova and the story.
Yeah,
So.
true. Mm-hmm. I think that's what's next. But in future episodes, I'll be like, we could be going to
There'll be
Johto.
hints toward Johto. Yeah.
We could be going to Johto. It is still up in the air. I can't deny that. But personally, I think Unova.
Yeah. Honestly, I would be fine if they didn't show us a new place for a little while and they just showed us old regions at different times.
Bro, yeah.
Like,
yeah, it's fun.
That's crazy.
We have a lot of stuff going on, and there's so many things that we could revisit, either in the past or future or present or whatever. That could be really interesting. So I kind of wish they would just like pause on new
simmer.
regions just a little bit and focus on some of the lore that we have, because it's so interesting.
That's so
It's
cool,
so
Kayla.
true.
That's
So
so
true.
cool. Because, like, I mean, that is also something that I think is really difficult. Like, that's something that, like, they've never done, to just simmer and sit on existing regions. Because if you think about it, like, if we're supposed to get Johto or Unova, right, we've done that. We've had that conversation for 2 years. But what if, but we talked about Kalos, but it's true. It's like, what if we go back to a Galar, so close? But I don't know, like, what if we, I guess we did go back to, I'm just trying to think, like, we have all these regions, and if you bring it, if you return to an old region in a brand new engine, it's essentially a brand new game, right? And if you do it from a different time period, not like Legends where it's like years ago, centuries ago, but like, if even just 30-year difference, you can all of a sudden retcon and add in all these new characters and change how we perceive the region. You can make it a mega timeline or whatever timeline you want. You really can make a whole new experience. I think for a long time, I'm like, there's something special about the 2D games. I don't really know if I want to actually play some of these old games in the 3D engine. But when I was in Chargestone Cavern, it's called Cavern, not the cave, I felt like I was in Chargestone Cave. And that's kind of really exciting. We've never seen Kanto from that full 360 open world experience, right? We've never seen that.
Definitely not.
It's always been top down in like a very linear, what would you call that, like direction, right? You can only look right at the character and play with the with the region that way. But what if what if the Gen 10 game is literally like a Kanto game or something? Right?
Oh god,
That's so stupid.
Again.
It's so
But you say again, but like
hard to take.
I don't know, or whatever. I'm just trying. Like
No,
I don't know. I think it's cool. I really think Gen
We could
10
do
is
it like
gonna be in
We
Japan.
could do it like the anime where we go to school in Kanto, but then we go to a lot of different regions.
Yeah, that's true. Or there we talked to Sutami about like a month ago, and we went through all the different ways and locations in Japan that haven't been touched on, and I really do love that idea of like getting a brand new Japanese region so it feels like Kanto, it feels like Johto. There's all these references, and then DLC could be Kanto and Johto because it's right there. It could be Hoenn, it could be whatever, and that would allow us to just simmer, right? We just simmer in those old regions, relive them, and just bring them right. Like that's the true reboot, right?
Yeah.
That's the true reboot.
I've never actually thought of this idea, but that's a great idea, Kayla. I feel like they might have like opened up a little bit to it with Legends Arceus, like, oh, we can revisit a region and not have it like always make a new region every single time. It doesn't even have to be a different time. Like they could just, other games are set in the same exact location. Like I'm not talking about Pokemon games. I mean like other games. You know, they could just literally go back to Unova in the same exact time that we were there playing as that character, but now we're playing as some other character.
How many times have you gone to Hyrule? You know?
Yeah, a different
and
story.
also you can change anything because it's a multiverse. Like let's say there's a character that was a villain originally, maybe they're a good guy now, you know? Maybe Silver becomes the head of Team Rocket and doesn't turn good. You know, maybe Red joins Team Rocket and maybe it's Red and Silver versus us. You know what I mean? Like
Bill is
there
the
are
evil
so
genius.
many possibilities like with these characters because we have a multiverse. Like we had the Team Rainbow Rocket where we had all the villains and we had to face off against them. Yeah, imagine 2.0, instead of it being villains, we have villainous versions of heroes.
Yeah. That'd be so cool.
That'd be
I
so
love it.
cool.
I love that idea.
It's like the
a lot.
manga, right? Remember when like Sabrina was part of Team Rocket? I think it was Blaine was part of Team Rocket.
Half of the gym leaders, yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. And that would actually allow it to feel like a higher stakes game. Kanto is really not that high stakes. It's just like, you know what I'm saying? But imagine if Giovanni behind everything was actually operating Rainbow Rocket, right? And that's the high stakes that we're returning to.
We fight off against Rainbow Rocket Giovanni instead of regular.
I just love the idea of DLC returning to old regions. That is so cool to me.
I hope they do it. I really do. I can't see it right now, but if they just catch a little bit, like I was saying with Legends Arceus, maybe they caught a little bit of it. That'd be really, really epic.
I wonder how good, like, if DLC sales is ever an issue, no, they would just save it for a real game. I was going to say, like, if they get the biggest hype cycle on a new console, a brand new Pokemon game, that's going to have the best sales of all time, right? And then how do you top that? You go, okay, well, guess what? Buy the DLC and you go back to Kanto because you love Kanto. That's going to be the best-selling DLC of all time.
Everybody loves
right?
Kanto.
Everybody.
Yes.
I do like Kanto, though.
I do too.
That's exciting. So I mean, I don't know. Like, are you excited for? I'm honestly. We didn't talk about it too much, but I really am really appreciating Scarlet and Violet. I think like a year and a half ago, me, Sol, and Lumi were having a conversation about what the future of Pokemon could look like in Gen 9, and I think what we envisioned is probably going to be closer to what we see in Gen 10, and it was a big letdown to see it was like the first game that had all of these buggy issues. I guess BDSP wasn't perfect, but it was a big letdown to see how the game wasn't performing as what we wanted, right? I feel like Pokemon was always like a safe place, right? It's like whatever game you're playing, you know it's reliable, right? The memory's not going to fry, right? You're not going to get trapped. Like
You're right. Before this, it was always good. Like there was, I never had any doubt that there would be performance issues.
And that was a big letdown. And I think, that was a big letdown. But honestly, the more I go back to mainland Paldea with all of these new features, and I see all these little things that they're adding, I think the synchro feature is amazing. I think the DLC was super fun. the story really is great. I'm excited to go back and actually finish my Violet playthrough, and play through Paldea again, play through Violet all the way, experience the story with a year of analysis, of understanding these characters, but to just kind of reassess everything. I'm having a lot of fun in Scarlet and Violet. What kind of things do you think still like are not there, or I don't know, like where are you at with Scarlet and Violet right now?
I mean, I feel like I really liked how there were a lot of hidden things in it, where if you really looked at what was going on, you could kind of figure out what was going to happen and like how the story worked, especially going into these DLCs. So like that made it really fun from almost like a puzzle sense. I kind of want them to do more of that though, and more of like unlocking things. Like I think back to the Reggies, back in Gen 3, and that was like some of the coolest things that I think Pokemon has ever done. I just want more, and like also in PLA there were like side quests. I want more things where we have to use our brains and figure things out. And maybe that's not popular because I know people just want to play and not have to think too hard. And,
no, I want that. I want that.
I do too. So like,
Definitely
I think it would be nice, especially if it's optional and you get benefits from doing that. That would be really nice to have that additional content.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Ruinous Quartet stand out to me the most. I thought they were really weird when they launched, and now I'm sitting at it looking like this is like deep lore that is going to be unanswered for 20 years, but it's like it's so great. That's just one example, right? I feel like there's a lot of history to Paldea, and there's mysteries, right?
They kind of always did that in Pokemon games where they just leave these, they give us these lore points and leave them as mysteries, which actually plays right into what we were saying earlier. If they ever went back to regions and just flesh them out with all the lore that they've left there. But yeah, Scarlet and Violet, I don't know. The jury's out because I haven't finished the DLC yet and I'm still waiting, but based on like what I'm hearing, like as a whole, I'm like, I don't know where it really ranks in the grand scheme of things. I like it. That's what I'll say.
I do like it.
I think it's extremely experimental for Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
They did a lot of new things all at once, and I don't think they knew how to execute that perfectly. But some of the things that they've always kind of done pretty well, they did really great, like the story. So there were just some there were some bad technical issues.
It was pretty bad in the DLC too. Like I'm really feeling it right now.
I was telling Dusty when I was playing, one of the scenes that I know you haven't got to yet, so I'm not going to talk about it. But when I got to the scene, instead of actually having it play like a movie, like it's supposed to, instead I got 5 pictures in slow motion, just going
That's
on the screen.
Oh,
so I had to wait for my partner to play it to actually see one of the most crucial scenes in the game. Like, that is for me, who values the story so heavily, that hurt.
Yeah. That's really true.
Turned it back on. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if you tried that.
I was recording.
Oh no.
Yeah, so it's on video. I just posted at noon today. Like,
we'll leave a link in the description.
This.
I gotta go see that.
Yeah, but it's awful.
That really is awful, and that's probably some kid's like first experience with that, right? That's disappointing.
Right.
Just like waiting to see it. It's just like,
whoa.
It's like, no.
It's a PowerPoint.
Yeah.
At first I thought like, oh, is this the part where like things get taken over by, a certain Peach? Like, is it glitching on purpose?
Yeah.
No.
So it doesn't get the highest ranking. That's what I'll say. But
well, Kayla, thank you for joining us today. I feel like there's so much more to talk about once Soul is finished. And
the rest of the people that haven't finished.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some people who.
People out there.
Yeah, thank you for having me on.
Yeah,
this
absolutely.
is really fun.
We want to have you on again. I think there's a lot of other topics we'd love to get your input on, but there's so much more to talk about with the Indigo disc, the hidden treasure of Area Zero, specifically the post game and all of the things that we learn in that. So make sure
we can talk lore.
Yeah, we got to talk lore. Lumi will hopefully be back soon. and then we will be discussing more things in the months to come. But Kayla, can you plug yourself? Tell people where they can find you.
Yeah, sure. So my channel is called Kayla's Capsule. That's Kayla with a C. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Twitter. I have a Discord called Capsule Monsters where we focus on evidence-based theories. So if you guys want to discuss Pokemon theories in that kind of a way, feel free to join there as well.
Yeah. Awesome. And then a special shout out to our channel members, our mythical tier channel members, Timothy Chu, Trash Panda, Jasco, and then huge shout out to our Arceus tier channel members, Drogain and Bramtastic. You guys are keeping the podcast alive. Really appreciate you being here, Kayla. This is always a pleasure. We will be talking to you this week. We talk to you all the time. And yeah. All of our links will be in the description.
Thank you.
Happy holidays, Kayla.
Yeah, happy holidays to you too. And everybody out there.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone. See ya.
See ya.
My name is DustyGogoat. Today, Lumi is sick. He's violently ill. I'll do that one more time. I don't need to include all that.
No, it's great. I think it was perfect.